Good morning, everyone. So thanks for joining today. This session, as I mentioned already a little bit, is going to be around some practical uses of AI tools in your organizations. So nothing too technical, nothing too scary, probably some stuff that some of you may be using already. I think if you're here, it's a good chance that you're pretty keen on this stuff, so may have already been using some AI tools. So I just want to go through a few of the common tools that are out there, and then some ways to make your team more efficient, and also some caveats to that, I think, as well. So as I mentioned, we've got about sort of 15 to 20 minutes, hopefully, I think it's going to be, to run through. Then we'll open up the Q&A. If you've joined since I mentioned it already, there is a Q&A button, should be at the top of your Teams, and a chat button as well. So feel free to use both of those functions. If it's a Q&A, something you want me to answer, pop it in a Q&A. And if you've got tools already that you're using as an organization and think, well, we've been enjoying using this, maybe one that's a lesser known one, feel free to pop that in the chat. We want to make this a kind of sharing experience as well. So I think it would be good for everyone to see what you're using as an organization and how you found it, good or bad. So I'll do a quick introduction to Qlic. You've obviously come across us before because you've seen us on webinars like this or events. You've come across this event today. So we're Qlic IT for Charities. So we're obviously massively super passionate about helping the sector. We've been working with charities for over 20 years now, coming up to 25 years, I think, next year. So we started in 2002. We've grown into one of the UK's leading managed service providers. So the majority of what we do are on the screen here. So you've got managed IT support, kind of everyday remote help desk services, cybersecurity for your organizations, cloud solutions and migrations, and then obviously telephony as well is a big part of kind of IT and telecoms merging over the last few years. So yeah, telecoms, broadband, mobile, VoIP, those kind of services as well. So if you do need anything like that, this is my one sales plug. Feel free to reach out to us. Even if you just want a bit of sense check of like, are we doing the right thing? Am I paying for the right stuff? We've got a big ISDN and PSTN switch off coming in January next year for your telecom. So yeah, if you're paying for any of those kind of services or you're not sure, give us a shout on those and we can help you. So I wanted to quickly cover why I think AI matters for charities in 2026. Now, obviously, that's said with a little tongue in cheek because we're not a charitable organisation, but we do speak with a lot and present to a lot and hopefully get a lot of understanding. So I think what's pretty clear is the sector is facing more pressure than ever before. It's showing up hugely in terms of resources, but in terms of admin time, the reporting you're required to do, the amount of coordination you need to do with your team, particularly in a time where you may have some people in the office, some people working from home, even some of the organisations we work with have users abroad as well, and travel for work. So that can all be really difficult to do. So all of that sort of stuff is eating into your time and your staff's time that you could be spending on beneficiaries and service users of your organisations, which is obviously the main thing, one of the major reasons why we're here. I wanted to pick out some of the stats that we've got from the Charity Digital Skills Report, the most recent one. So you'll see, I won't go through them individually, but there's roughly half the organisations already using AI for day-to-day work, like drafting documents, handling admin, and about a quarter are using it a little bit more strategically. So we're looking at research and information gathering. We've noticed it as well. So we're seeing organisations that would come to us for our services, for things like cybersecurity and cloud solutions. Before they would approach Qlic to sort of say, well, what should we be using? And it's very much now, we think we should be using this. We want to sense check it and then obviously undertake that work as well. So it's a much more informed process that we're seeing across the sector as well. So I think the major thing really, and as I said, we've got some users that have joined us today that are already using sort of AI note takers and things like that. Organizations all across the world are using it. Almost certainly there will be users within your organization using it, but without some formal direction. So something that I really wanted to focus on today is sort of help you understand which tools may be best for your organization, how to use them when they're most appropriate, and obviously, perhaps more importantly, when they're not appropriate for you. So if we kind of jump in to which tool is best, which AI tool is best, and I've picked on kind of the major three. In IT, for many, many years now, we've had competition. So we've got, most people are Google or Microsoft, they're Apple or Android. If we've got any gamers on, they're PlayStation or Xbox. So there's always been sort of a fierce protection around, well, I'm this user, I'm this kind of person. This is what I like to use. I think with AI tools, the conversation is completely different. To me, and I think what we're seeing within the sector as well, there isn't a single tool that is clearly the best for every situation. So instead, what we're seeing is sort of the charities and organisations that we're working with are using a combination of the tools and choosing the right tool depending on the task that they need to do. So, for example, if you're working with your own organisation's apps, and I'll come back to these a little bit as well, apps and email and data, tools like Copilot or Gemini are often the best fit because they work directly inside those environments. If you need help drafting content, brainstorming ideas, or working on documents that aren't sensitive, don't contain sensitive or personal information, then something like ChatGPT, General AI Assistant, could be a really good option for that. But realistically, and kind of what I wanted to cover just quickly was, in practice, most don't just choose one. They tend to focus on the need and then match the tool to that, rather than find the tool and then match the need. So for starters, my suggestion would be, don't assume there's one best fit for your organization. Really focus in and look on what the tasks you're trying to achieve, and then obviously people like Qlic can help you find the right tool to do that. I'll quickly touch on the two or three major ones that we've talked about already. So if you're an organization using Microsoft 365, Copilot's probably the easiest place to start for you. Sits, particularly the paid for Copilot version, sits directly within your apps. So you'll see it within Outlook and Teams and Word and Excel and PowerPoint. And that can help with everyday tasks as well. So, for example, most of the charities that we support that have paid for Copilot licenses will be using it within Teams to generate meeting summaries and action lists after things like leadership meetings or trustee meetings. Obviously, that removes some of the need for a lot of the admin manual write-up each week, and obviously missing things part of the conversation while you're sitting down scribbling, taking notes. Another big one, if you're not already using this and you do have paid for Copilot, would be Copilot Agents. So I've done in fact, myself and a couple of colleagues have done a previous session on this. So if you have a look on our website, our events page has got all our previous ones, and our YouTube page has as well, about how to use agents and how you can adopt those into your organization. So if you've not come across them before, Copilot Agents, they're just small AI assistants that you can set up to reference specific organizational documents and information. So information within your Microsoft 365. So some of the charities, the kind of most forward ones that we've been working with, are using them to provide support funding applications. So what they do is they take the agent, they point it at previous successful applications that they've done, submissions that they've got, their internal policies, all the information they need for those funding applications, and then they use it to help draft new answers in your tone of voice, which obviously then allows the staff to review and refine the final response so that it does actually match what your organization still does. So super important, and I don't have too much time now to go through those, but go back and have a look if you've not dealt with agents before. They are hugely powerful, really, really good, and a lot of them can do automation stuff as well. So yeah, that's kind of the next stage of AI integration. Just one sort of final thing on here for the Copilot. So if you're experimenting with the free Copilot, and if you're not using any Copilot at all, I really would recommend using that. It's available in Windows 11 and Microsoft Edge as well. Just avoid putting any of your sensitive organization information or personal data into it. You really want to use that as kind of a free version for just drafting, brainstorming, or working with anonymized information. That's fine. So, if you want to take sample data, anonymize it, and put that in there to see what it can do for you, that's absolutely fine. But just keep things like internal emails, files, meeting content really shouldn't be going into the free versions as well, because obviously a lot of that trains the model and then can be shared out as well. So they don't guarantee privacy on those. And if you're using Google Workspace, I think the split of organizations across the country is something like 25% of organizations are using Google, and the rest are using Microsoft really for their file sharing and modern workplace stuff. Then obviously a lot of these will be available within Gemini as well, within Gmail, Docs, and Google Meet. So yeah, well worth a look, particularly if you've not been using the free version of Copilot. I would start there. Everyone will probably know this one. It's been the biggest that anyone's been talking about over the last couple of years. So we've covered obviously the apps that work within your cloud environment. For something like ChatGPT, and I'm sure most probably have used this, it's more of a general assistant. So you can use it for many different tasks, particularly things like drafting, brainstorming, working outside your core systems. Many that we're seeing use it alongside their productivity tools rather than instead of them. So for example, charities often use ChatGPT to help draft or revise policy documents, so they don't have anything sensitive, but obviously they want high accuracy on those. Generating newsletters or social media content, it's perfect for that because you can really highlight the kind of people that you want to write that for, the kind of content that you want to include, make it really engaging. And then obviously you can just turn rough ideas into first drafts. So if you know got some ideas on how you want to move the organization, some fundraising ideas, there's some really good stuff that it comes up with for that as well. Excellent for things like ChatGPT. I think from my perspective, it's especially useful when you're starting from just a kind of blank page, because it can help you sort of review, refine, and tailor for what you want to achieve. Yeah, as I say, it's particularly good for the fundraising ideas. The free version is usually more than enough for what you need. Paid versions are typically provide faster responses, responsive performance, some additional features, and stronger privacy controls. So if you've got the paid for versions, you can start adding some personal data in there, as they don't train the public models. I would still be wary of putting anything that's outside of personal data in, outside of your organization, but counts as personal data in there. But perhaps commercially sensitive data you'd be fine in the paid for version. So I wanted to cover off simple ideas and quick wins, as you could see on this one. So once you've understood the tools that are available, I think the next step really is identifying the sort of simple start points. So the most successful adopters, and we're copying this, that we've seen out there usually begin with just some small everyday tasks that can remove a little bit of admin for you, rather than jumping straight into a large automation project. So we get a lot of conversations around, we want to link up our Salesforce or our CRM system into this, and we sort of start talking to the organization, and this is through partners as well, and they sort of say, well, what are you using at the moment? Not a lot. What do we have in terms of policy? Nothing really. We're not guiding people. So it's really start at the basics. So great example that we've discussed already: meeting agendas, minutes and action lists. Like I said, I've seen some really good AI note takers that have joined us today, which is excellent. They can be generated from discussions, long reports, transcripts, all turned into short, easy to read summaries, and frequently used communications such as things like newsletters. Volunteer updates can be drafted using template prompts. Obviously, stuff like that previously may have been done by either a dedicated marketing person or even an external party. You can really start to look at bringing that kind of stuff in now, and you can create these agents. You can create the GPTs within ChatGPT, give it the tone of voice for your organization, and have it working the way that you want it to work. What I would always say, and I've mentioned it on the next slide as well, always double check the output. So yeah, small changes like this over the course of a month per person can make a significant amount of time difference. So we're really encouraging, just start with 1 or 2 simple use cases, build your confidence from there, and also share your knowledge as well with the rest of the team. So before we jump into the Q&A side of things, I just wanted to kind of wrap up with where do we go from here? If we're not using those tools already, or we are, but a little bit, what do we jump straight into? So number one on here, my advice would be set guidelines for your staff. I would tell them what tools they can and can't use, based on experiences, based on how you want the information to be used, as well as the data they can and can't share as well. So like I've said in this, really highlighting, look, we want paid for licenses, or we want paid for licenses for any company, commercial, personal data being shared. If it's using the free, then anonymize it, or ideally don't put any sensitive information in there at all. And it's probably just helping those users to work through those barriers and help them understand the kind of tools that are out there. Number 2, start small. So use the tools I've talked about for meeting summaries, helping you draft your policies, rewriting an email to a funder, even things like, we get a lot of questions about Cyber Essentials. So if your organization is going for Cyber Essentials, you can get the free, it's free, but it's the questionnaire set of Cyber Essentials from the IASB website. If there's stuff on there you're not sure about, chuck that into ChatGPT. This is generic information. You can ask questions about that. What does this mean? We're using these systems. How would that fit for us? Are we a good fit? Obviously, that's not sharing anything commercially sensitive to your organization or personal, but it's really helpful. Cyber insurance questionnaires as well, because they always put things really randomly. So yeah, pick a couple of different admin tasks for you or for your organization, for your staff, and just get working with those. I think what you'll find is it's going to make a massive difference to their day, and it will start to encourage you. This comes on to the next point here, number 3 and 4, really. Encourage your users to experiment within the boundaries of the tools that you've chosen. and share them with each other. So again, we've started this here at Qlic, and it's been a huge improvement to the way that we're all using the AI tools, but particularly the charities that we work with. We held a few forum versions of this as well, and it was brilliant. We want to encourage them to share, use the tool, share the successes of others. The ones that do it really well actually have AI champions within the organization, and then set up some internal forums. And what they do is publish that information out to everybody else, either in writing or as like a webinar like we're doing now, just talking about how they're using it, what they've been using it for, the kind of tools, maybe what problems they've come across, really sharing that knowledge. And what you're going to find is that's going to amplify your output of AI and the importance of what you can use it overnight. It's a massive success. So really pick out some AI champions. It may even be you guys here, because we've all joined on this session today. Number 5, absolutely massively important, possibly more than any of the others, other than maybe putting personal data in there, is check the output. All of these tools that we're talking about are an assistant, not a captain. So just as important as checking what you put into it is reviewing the outputs you get. Ask it to cite references if you're not sure where it's getting the information from. Show it's working out to you so you can double check the content is correct. And again, things like your tone of voice, have a read through it, make sure that you're happy with it. If you're not, refine. With all these things, very rarely is the first output you get the best. So really give it a point to continuously refine that information for you as well. My final point, before we jump back into the Q&A, because I know I haven't seen, but we normally get lots of questions on these, is just get started consistent. It's not an easy thing to get started with. We're all really good Googlers, but we're not great prompters. So you really need to train yourself to use ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini to be your first port of call for information when you need it. So really kind of force yourself into that route, and that will become second nature. The other thing I'd really recommend doing, and because I've done this personally and it's really helped me, is use it on a personal level. If you're fed up with we've just gone through all the way through January. Probably lots of people are on diets and doing dinners at home and trying to find new recipes. If you're not using it for that kind of thing on a personal level, really would recommend it. It's massively good, and it's going to get you thinking about using those tools first, and it will just become second nature for you in the organization.